Yo, what is up everybody and welcome back yet again to another daily update video. My name is CryptoStash and I hope you're having an amazing weekend. Currently it is Saturday and Bitcoin has just been consolidating right here after rejecting from the POC right here, as you can see, at 117.9k. Basically this was the most important level that we needed Bitcoin to reclaim. Basically, we want to see a candle closure above this particular level right here in order for us to see something like this, and then a liquidity grab of around 120k, since we did have still a lot of liquidity sitting on the top side. But as of right now, Bitcoin has been consolidating below the POC, which makes me think, as I mentioned in my previous video, that another potential dump to the downside is coming. Basically, what this means is, if we look at the liquidity for the last 2 weeks, for example, there we go. Basically, as you can see, we had right here liquidity to the top side, which I was expecting for us to take out. But as you can see, we did grab some of it, which was sitting right at that POC. We did not get a wick to the upside basically to take it out. But since then we have been pushing down, and we have, as you can see, most of the liquidity sitting towards the downside right here. Basically all the way down to 108k, we do have liquidity which is still waiting to be taken out. So basically, if we look on the weekly time frame, right now we did have three bullish weekly candles in a row. After touching, as you can see, this very key level right here, we might start seeing a bigger rejection, and we might see Bitcoin do another potential dump like the one that we saw right here. Basically, we might see the same thing happening until we reach all the way down to 93k, which is basically, in my opinion, the worst case scenario, which will be potentially playing out if the stock market also starts pushing towards the downside. But as of right now, the stock market is looking pretty solid. As you can see, we are sitting and closing at a new all-time high. We did close very bullish on the daily and on the weekly for the stock market. So potentially I am expecting somewhat of a continuation with a potential dump that would be around 4%, like the one that we got here. Basically those corrections would take us, if we start rejecting from here, 4% would potentially take us all the way down to those highs right here for the stock market. Now if we look at Ethereum, for example, Ethereum is still in this range right here. If we measure it after breaking out above the all-time high, you can see right now we are rejecting from the value area high of this particular range right here on the daily time frame. This is very important range. As you can see, the value area low and the POC was sitting at around $4,280, and this is where we got a very long consolidation period. As you can see, basically where price did mostly nothing. It was around 8 days, and then we got a breakthrough back above the value area high, and this is where sellers started stepping in once again. And right now we are trading below it, so we might see it basically struggle a bit more, or maybe even potentially retest this level right here before anything else. But as I keep saying, we are right now in the month of September, and September is historically bearish, so we might see this month starting to turn over very quickly. It is very possible. If you look at Solana also has had a nice run to the upside the last 3 months. As you can see, have been bullish. We are back above, well above the value area high after we broke through right here, as you can see. And right now we are sitting with a candle body basically back at the previous all-time high closes, which were basically the candle body tops, not the wicks. I'm not counting the candle wicks right here. So if we manage to get in my opinion, for Solana, another bullish month during October will be very well easily touching this level, which would be the all-time high sitting at 295, and potentially if we breakthrough, we might see somewhat of a continuation, but it is also very possible that we get a swing failure and then we start having that bigger correction. But it all depends, as I said, on what the stock market does. So if the stock market here starts reversing to the upside, then we might potentially see that reversal. But as of right now, the S&P 500 is looking pretty solid. The last two times that we had those rejection back in 2020 during the COVID crash, we crashed for around 3 months, and then if we measure it, we had 609 days of upside only, and then we did have the crash, basically the bear market for Bitcoin back in 2022. We had 273 days of downtrend for the stock market, and since then, basically since this bottom right here, up until the top that we made, basically the previous all-time high, we had 859 days of an move. So basically here we had 642 days, then we had 860 days, and so maybe right now if we measure it basically somewhat in the middle, 300, let's say, we might see another 335 days, for example, until basically the Q1 and Q2 of 2026, and then we might see that rejection. But this is just a theory. It might happen sooner, it might even happen later, nobody knows for sure, but this is what I'm expecting for the stock market. Now let's look at some other altcoins that I'm following. Sui right now is still trading in that range right here. We had a rejection from the weekly R2, as you can see, almost hitting that value area high, but right now we are bouncing from the weekly pivot, as you can see, which is a very nice confluence level for a potential longs. So price might continue when the market opens on Monday, basically when we start getting that volatility in, the altcoins might start pushing up higher. Hype also getting a rejection from the weekly R2, almost hitting $60, which is pretty nice in my opinion. And right now we are pushing towards potentially the weekly pivot. XRP back below $3. Basically we are almost at $3, like a couple of cents away. This is nothing, but we are still trading at that POC level right here. The pump token has been getting a rejection to the downside, basically back below the weekly pivot, so we might see a retest of the weekly pivot support, which would be at 0.005 right here, and then we might see a potential turnaround. But this was normal, as you can see, since the RSI was very overbought on the daily time frame, and this is something you want to pay attention to. And also the Bitcoin dominance on the daily still trending lower. As you can see, we have not had a trend flip again yet, basically. So I am potentially expecting that we are going to get down towards this low right here, and then potentially get a reaction of a swing failure pattern. But this is going to be taking a couple of weeks to play out, since on the bigger time frames things tend to play out slower. So what I'm expecting potentially for the Bitcoin dominance would be a bounce from this level, basically 54%, 54.9 would be a key level. If it doesn't hold, basically if we don't see a reaction and just the Bitcoin dominance starts falling further down from here, then that would mean we are officially in a very strong alt season. But until then, I am still not quite sure if we will be seeing that continuation and new all-time high for Ethereum, for Solana, and some of the other altcoins. Basically, the Fear and Greed index is down at 48. We are potentially going to come back into that greed zone. For the weekend, we do have quite mixed. On some exchanges we do have more sellers, but overall we do have combined more buyers in the market than sellers during the weekend, which as you know, Bitcoin is actually pushing kind of the upside. If we go on a lower time frame, as you can see, we are also still trading above the weekly pivot, which is nice. So we might see some more upside during the weekend, and then potentially when the markets open, the semi future markets, when they open on Monday and give us some of that volatility, then we might see that potential decline to the downside. What else should we cover for next week? Do we have some news? On Tuesday, we do have Powell speaking again, PMI also. So on Tuesday, on Thursday, we do have also on Friday. Basically, we have 3 days of very important news for Bitcoin next week. So that will be also an interesting coming week. And basically, you need to be careful during Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that will be it for today's update video, guys. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for the channel, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.